Hello, my name is Paul Kappel, and I am president of Junior Achievement of Southeastern Pennsylvania. And for those of you who I have not met before, welcome. I see some students have joined us and also some of our JA Company Program volunteers. This is the first of what will be a series of speaker series events that we will be having into 2021. Kind of the genesis behind this was twofold. First of all, in light of the pandemic, some of the networking opportunities that students in the program would traditionally be able to participate in, we're not able to offer this year. And so this will give you a chance to build your network. We will ask all of you, if you want to reach out to our speakers over LinkedIn, please do so. That's a good way to connect with them personally and also to build your networks as well. In addition to that, we wanted to provide a series of community leaders who will align the conversations around where you are in the company program life cycle. And so as you kick off the program and you start to see all of yourselves as entrepreneurial leaders, we thought it would be important to reach out to a member of the community with a little bit different take than you may normally hear. And what I mean by that is, as you know, the majority of our volunteers come from large corporations or businesses within the community. And entrepreneurship doesn't just mean thinking entrepreneurially, but also can be either founding or running a family enterprise. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So we have Jonathan Wright. Jonathan is the owner of the Wright Agency in Chester County in Downingtown. Jonathan is a Bloomsburg University graduate and also a member of the Downingtown Thorndale Regional Chamber of Commerce. He's on the board. And instead of having me tell Jonathan's story, I'm going to ask him to start off by just telling a little bit about himself and kind of what he would like us to know about him and his business.
Thanks, Paul. Happy to be here this evening with the Junior Achievement crew. Getting to know you over the past few years has always had me intrigued on what you're up to over there. So I'm glad to finally be a little part of it. And I'm glad that I'm going first. So there's no precedent here to set. And I'm excited to be a part of it. And thank you for having me. As far as introduction goes, I am a member of the Downingtown Thorndale Regional Chamber of Commerce. I am on the board. I'm actually incoming president in 2022. So I will be serving as president there for a 2-year term in 22 and 23. My day job is an independent insurance agency called the Wright Agency. It's located in Downingtown, and it's been here for 43 years. About 15 of them under my watch. Prior to that was my parents, who were the founders of the business. I'm also a year 2000 graduate of Downingtown High School, which if you can do some quick math, that was before there was East and West. So I'm old school and proud to be still in the community and a part of this tonight.
Excellent. So what we'll do is we'll spend about 20 minutes with some questions and then perhaps some follow-up questions. But I do want to give everyone a heads up. We will spend about the last 10 minutes at about 6:20 on any questions that you may have. What we will do is you can either put those questions into chat, or at that time we'll ask, if you want, you can go ahead and just unmute your microphone and ask Jonathan questions directly. So again, we'll spend about 15 or 20 minutes on pre-done questions, and then we'll open it up to the group. So Jonathan, with that, obviously there's some tenure in your business. I would like to think that, the insurance industry can be pretty competitive. So to have that track record and be around in Downingtown for so long, a family-owned agency, what are some of the qualities that you think you need to have, both personally and professionally, to be successful as a community business leader?
Well, I heard you mention the word entrepreneurship in your introduction and, entrepreneurial spirit or qualities. I heard you mention that. And, I was always that type of kid. I was always that type of high school student and college student. I was very entrepreneurial in my younger years and always had sort of that personality that didn't mind going it alone stepping out of the comfort zone a little bit where others maybe wouldn't. And I was never afraid to, whether you call it fail or be made fun of, that never really bothered me. So even as a youngster, those were some of my qualities. As far as the business being here for 43 years, sort of running along, I think as an entrepreneur, whether or not your business is a family business that's already established or whether you are starting it from scratch, I think something that's very important, and I tell a lot of people this, is, life is hard, business is hard, and whatever you can get to give you an advantage over the next guy and to give you a leg up, you should take it. And if that means your family has a business that's already started, or if that means that you think you can, move your business from one location to the next to get an advantage, or whether that means you can, make some type of decision as an entrepreneur to make your business better, I think that that's key. And, let's be serious. As a youngster, I didn't dream of being an insurance agency owner. It's not that glamorous of a title or a job. I wanted to be a race car driver or, an architect of, naval ships and, all sorts of cool stuff like that. But I did see an opportunity and I saw an advantage that I had to leapfrog ahead. And man, am I glad I did, because that really gave me a nice jump on my what's now my business, and I'm running it in my 15th year. 2021 will be my 16th year here, and I really think that that's given me a nice jump.
So, Jonathan, I heard you say not being afraid to fail. And one of the things in the life cycle of what the students here are about to do is when they create their own startup enterprises, sometimes there's this idea of, we can't fail. We got to make the right decision right away. Can you talk about maybe a time where you did fail in your business and in terms of a decision that didn't work out the way you hoped it would? And then how did you pivot from that?
I can absolutely tell you one, and you'll find this relevant to my relationship with you. First of all, you can't be afraid to fail. And I will say this, the thing that you should think about with, the risk reward of trying something new or stepping out of your comfort zone is the sooner you try, the sooner you can see the results, and then you can deal with whichever way that went. And what I mean by that is if you're a young person, get started now. Don't wait, because as you get older, the consequences of failing or the consequences of time that you need to dig yourself out of whatever hole you just dug yourself into can be a little bit more challenging. I'm now married. I have 2 children, and I can't, run around taking Hail Marys from half court anymore. I have to be very calculated with my decisions because there's people that count on me. So not being afraid to fail when I was 20 feels a little different than not being afraid to fail now that I'm 39. So there's that. As far as the other part of your question, when I failed, that's an easy one. So I started in the business in 2005, 6, around there. Is networking. That's when I started to become a networker. And I knew it was something that I needed to do. I needed to kind of carve my own identity into my family's business and sort of make a name for myself outside of my parents' reputation, which was a very good one, but I needed to do my own thing. And so I did some research on local chambers and networking organizations. And the first one that I found and sort of took to was the Chester County Chamber of Business and Industry. And if anybody on here knows, or a quick Google search will reveal that the Chester County Chamber of Business and Industry is a serious group of businesses. Chester County being probably the wealthiest and one of the most prosperous counties in the state of Pennsylvania, which puts it in a very top group in the United States. There's some serious businesses in there. When I walked in the door at 24 years old, with my business card and my name tag, I was very shocked to realize that the guy next to me was, one of the executives for QVC. I looked to my left and, somebody was from another very large corporation. Needless to say, Paul, I was in the wrong room. And I paid my dues. They were really expensive. And, I just chalked that one up as a loss. I was not in the right room. I was a little out of my league, as you hear people say. So there went my membership dues. I didn't really make any good contacts at any of those events that I did attend. And quite frankly, I kind of left with my tail between my legs, back to my small family business in Downingtown from the major leagues of local networking. But I say that to say this: it led me to two chambers that I'm involved with now, one of them being the Downingtown Thorndale chamber that you and I participate in, the other being the Western Chester County Chamber of Commerce. And I have to tell you, over the past decade, I've made some of my best business contacts in those groups, have some of my best clients from those organizations, and I have some people that I call very close friends too. So the failure, now looking back on it, you can see I'm laughing while I'm kind of telling you this story. It's a wonderful thing. And, it ended up pointing me in the exact direction I needed to be headed. So,
part of what I heard there is, when you are running a business, you've got to kind of know the needs of your community, who your customers are. And one of the things that entrepreneurs do is they fill a need within that community. And I would imagine within the insurance industry, it seems to me on the other side of it, it's pretty competitive, right? I mean, there's a lot of them. So what do you do? How do you make sure that the need you are filling is meeting the needs of your customers so that you can, of course, try to build that customer base? Because there's always a lot of good ideas, right? I mean, everybody needs insurance. Sure. The question is, how are you going to make sure they choose you as the person they purchase their insurance from?
Well, I mean, you're exactly right. And, what you just said to me, Paul, is everything. That's why I get up every morning. That's my job. That's my exact job. Insurance is hyper competitive. It's a product that is purchased by essentially everyone. In the state of Pennsylvania, it is illegal to drive a car without car insurance. So everybody who has a car has to have car insurance. Most people that own a home have a mortgage. I think it's something like 96% of people under a certain age have a mortgage on their home. Your mortgage company will require, by contract, you to have insurance on your house. So there you go. Those are two big things. You got to live somewhere, and you got to get around. So a lot of people do need those products. So that's the easy part. The demand for my product is real, and it's there. The difficult part, the hyper difficult part, almost insurmountable, standing at the bottom of Mount Everest difficult part, is why are they going to pick me? Because there are tons of choices. All of us know 15 different car insurance companies off the top of our head, and half of us could probably sing their jingle and repeat the tagline, right? I mean, we all know because they just burn it into our brains daily. And where I find my need is there is a percentage of the people, and for me, that's local here in Downingtown, but I have a feeling there's lots of Jonathan Wrights in their communities across the country that do not want to buy their insurance online. They do not want to make insurance decisions on their own or by themselves. And they also still appreciate a little old-fashioned service. They appreciate some old-fashioned hand-holding, and they do see the value of an agent managing their policies and giving them someone to call when they have a question. And that is the niche that we fill. That is the need that is out there. It's real. And that is why people choose the Wright Agency, because they know that the guy whose name is on the sign, that's me, will also be the same guy that probably answers the phone when you call and emails you back pretty promptly without any real barriers to that. There's no menu to press one. There's no, long wait times on the phone, and there's no website that's confusing for you to try to get through to the person you need to get through to. here I am. I'm right here. Walk right in the door, get your policy, and walk right out. I think that there's a big appeal to that, in our world these days.
So Jonathan, some of that sounds to me also that it's about relationships and trust, right? So let's talk a little bit about it and think, particularly as you're trying to drive new business, why that trust factor is so important.
Well, my grandfather used to always say, people can buy anything. You can buy anything. You can buy a fancier house or a fancier car. You can buy a dressier pair of shoes or a flashier, gown to wear out to dinner. Things can be bought, and that's cool. But the one thing that you can't buy is your reputation, and you can't buy the feeling that people get when they hear your name. And I've always taken that pretty seriously, is, your reputation in the community, which is what you're saying, your trust, is a super important thing. So, as people shop around for the service that I provide, we try our best to, have a good relationship with all of our customers, so that the energy that we're putting out into the community is a positive one, and that the trust can be, sort of passed along from you to your neighbor, to your sibling, to your coworker, to your child, whoever you're going to maybe recommend come see Jonathan at the Wright Agency. It just sort of passes on from one person. So, that's how we treat it. My relationship with you means more than anything, because you could potentially be the gateway to my next 5 customers. And then it starts all over again. Each one, I start my relationship with that person, and so on and so forth. And, it's really like the old school social media. You link with one person, then you see all their friends, and then you friend their whole list, and then all their friends are now your friends, and it multiplies. Well, that's what we're doing here, kind of one person at a time. And, when you hear it described that way, it sounds slow and antiquated, but it's actually not, because the strength of a relationship to the level that we create it is something that's almost unrepeatable via technology or a platform or a device, which you may find ironic as we're on a Zoom call right now. But I will say that the reason that I'm on this call and actually rather enjoying it is because I do know you. And we are friends in person. I have shook your hand and I've sat next to you at a meeting, multiple meetings in multiple venues. And to me, that means something. So, to get involved with you was a no-brainer. And that's how I hope people see their interactions with me in and around the community.
So, Jonathan, I would imagine that as the owner of your own business and an entrepreneur yourself, but I do know personally it's important for you to give back to the community. So tell us a little bit about why that's important to you, because there are only so many hours in the day. And the time that you spend on philanthropy and on community engagement means you're not doing something else. And so why is that important?
Well, there's an old phrase that my mom used to have hanging in our hallway to the basement in the house that I grew up in, and I'm going to botch it and not say it exactly the right way, but you'll get the gist of it. It's basically like, to whom many gifts are given, you have a greater responsibility for what you do with them. And I always remembered that, and I take that very seriously, because Paul, I've been very fortunate in my life as a business owner to have a business that's done pretty well. And I did have a pretty nice jump start due to my parents sort of forging ahead of me. And that's not lost on me. And I know that is a special thing, and I don't take it lightly. So when I go home at night, something that makes me feel good about myself and my successes and my family and my business is knowing that even though we might be doing pretty well and living a nice life and running a nice business, we're not being greedy, we're not hoarding, and we're not oblivious to the fact that not all of our neighbors are. And I think that that's important. And, you know, whether it helps me sleep better at night, whether I do it to, like I said, put out good energy in the community, that's an important thing to me. I love when someone I meet has really just a good vibe around them. And I want to be that person. You know, when I walk in the room, I like to be that guy. And I don't always get it right. And, you know, everybody has bad days. But I think that giving back is a way of basically just showing people, hey, listen, you know, you might be doing really well and you might be doing a lot of things the right way, but that person doesn't put all their stock in just me. They also see the we. And that to me is something that I try to really live on a day-to-day basis. And it makes you feel good. You know, after a certain point, I'll relate it to, you know, being a small child on Christmas. All you want to do is get presents, right? All little kids just want to get presents. And I don't remember what age that changes. But at some point, you know, I was a little kid. It was just all about me, and I could care less what anybody else is doing. I just want all these presents, or your birthday, or you know, whatever occasion where you receive gifts. For me, it was Christmas. As I got older, and certainly now as a parent, I now could care less what I get for Christmas or my birthday. You know, what I'm excited about, genuinely excited about, is buying gifts for others. And, you know, whether that's because I've had fun in my past and I've gotten all the gifts I wanted, or whether something has changed inside of me. And I think it's more that. I think it's more of the way you see the world through a different set of goggles. And you realize that it's not all about getting things, but the more important and actually the far more rewarding aspect of life in general, and to your question, to business, is actually giving back. So I love nothing more to give a referral to somebody, to link with somebody on LinkedIn and provide them with an opportunity to make a contact that furthers their journey, or to give a donation to a nonprofit, or to go donate my time on a Saturday morning to help set up chairs for a bingo or an auction or something. To me, I've now learned to find more joy in that, truthfully, than, you know, my own wins in my business. And I think that's a cool thing. And, you know, the funny part about it, Paul, is the more of those types of things that I do, and the more that I focus on those, ironically, the other things are still happening, and quite frankly, happening more. So it's not like I've moved all my focus on, you know, being this, you know, patron saint of Downingtown and forgot about my business. Not at all. You know, it's really just sort of shifted my mentality and actually allowed me to grow a lot more as a person and as a business owner.
Thank you, Jonathan. And I'm going to ask everyone to, if you have some questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. And then we'll also open it up if you want to turn off your mic. So kind of to summarize and think about what Jonathan said today, you know, when within junior achievement, when we think about entrepreneurs or that entrepreneurial mindset, you think about somebody who has passion for their work, or passion for the job that they are trying to undertake, or the problem that they are trying to solve. You think of someone who brings value to their community. You think of someone who knows their customer and tries to make life better for their customer. You think of someone who takes an appropriate amount of risk. And I would also add, you have somebody who tries to have fun in what they do. And I think you've seen a little bit of that tonight. And Jonathan also talked about the importance of networking. And so I would encourage all of you to reach out to Jonathan through LinkedIn and start to build that network. So with that, I see Luke has raised his hand to ask a question. So Luke, if you want to go ahead and take off your mic and you can ask.
Hello, thank you for calling on me. And I just wanted to start out by saying that I really admired some of the things that you had to say, Mr. Wright. And I thought that they all sounded like important things to the businessman and the business owner and to the community in general. With that being said, I'm just curious on what exactly a chamber of commerce or a chamber of business is.
Sure. Luke, thanks so much for raising your hand and asking your question and for your nice words. you're already going to be a good networker because you've already mastered the skill of buttering somebody up with a compliment before you ask something of them. So whether you did that on purpose or not, that was pretty good. You're off on the right page there. But what a chamber of commerce is, or a chamber of business and industry, and they're essentially the same thing. The Chamber of Business and Industry is just a little more fancy of a name for the same thing. It's a business organization that connects businesses and organizations to the community, right? And so sometimes, there's a community of people living somewhere. I'll use Downingtown as an example. Lots of kids, students, parents living, they're going to their house, they're going about their day-to-day business, and that's sort of one part of our society. And then simultaneously running alongside of that are all of the families and all of the businesses that are running the businesses in our community. Where you go for pizza on a Friday night, that's owned by someone who lives in and around your community, and that's a very big part of that person's life. Your insurance agent, the junior achievement doesn't just run itself. Paul has to do all the things he does. And you and your families and all your neighbors and stuff would really have no way of knowing what these businesses are up to and who runs them and what they're all about, unless there was a group like the Chamber of Commerce to connect the community and the businesses together. And it works both ways too, because it helps the businesses connect with the community. And it's not always as easy as you think, because, I don't know if you get the mail in your house, or maybe one of your parents or siblings gets the mail, but when you walk out to that mailbox every day, there's a lot of junk in there, man. And, most of it goes right in the trash. So that could be a business owner like me trying to tell Luke something that I think is pretty important. And you're just throwing it right in the trash, and I'm upset. I need to find another way to reach you and tell you my message. The Chamber of Commerce will provide a way to do that. So it's a link between the community and businesses, along with lots of other things that you can find out by perusing their websites and learning a little bit more about a Chamber of Commerce. They're great groups.
Cool, Jonathan. I'm sorry, Luke. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say thank Mr. Wright for answering my question.
And thanks for the question, Luke. And Jonathan, I would just add, I think sometimes just as important for the chamber is that business-to-business networking opportunity, right? So much we spend time talking about the business-to-consumer side of these relationships, but it's that business-to-business piece. And those students on the call are going to see a little of that when you decide what vendor you're going to potentially work with, when you come up with what your product is, and whether you're buying a product from a vendor or buying a product from multiple vendors. That business-to-business relationship can be so important, and being a member of a chamber can be part of that as well. So, okay, I'm going to try this one. Please forgive me if I don't get this right. Ayad, is that correct? And if it is, please unmute and ask the question.
Yeah, it's Ayud. Can you hear me?
Ayud. Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you for your time and the great words. It was really inspirational for me. I just had a general question. Like, out of all the things, like you said, like networking, marketing, like critical thinking and all that, what do you think is like the most challenging part about like your experience of being an entrepreneur?
Gosh, that's a great question. And, the challenges are endless. And, as soon as you think you figured out a couple of them, 20 others pop up. It's kind of like weeding your backyard. If you look out in the backyard and you see all these weeds popping up in your flower bed, and you roll up your sleeves and you go out there and you weed them all on Saturday morning, you come back 3 days later and there's 50 new weeds up there that you didn't even notice. And it can drive you up a wall. And, giving up would mean, your garden's going to look pretty terrible, but staying with it and figuring out a way to just keep going at it is kind of like the challenges of having a business. But I would say one of the things that I would highlight, and if you ask me this question tomorrow, I might answer it differently, and the next day differently again, because there's so many. But sometimes it's being able to just see the most important task at hand and block out all the other positives that you might see. And you hear some business owners and entrepreneurs and advisors call this drowning in opportunity. And if you hear somebody say drowning in opportunity, it sounds a little bit like this. I opened up a restaurant and everything on my menu is amazing. I make pizza and sushi and salads and milkshakes and ice cream, and I make tacos and I make hamburgers and I sell beer and wine, and on and on and on and on and on. And you might be great at all those things, and you might really believe in all those products. But unless you're the Cheesecake Factory that can pull off a 42-page menu of 100 different types of things, which you're probably not as an entrepreneur, you should pick two things, right? You know, Bob's chicken and waffles, or, you know, Victory, beer and wings, or PJ Willihan's chicken wings. Pick one thing. And I know you're great at all these other things. I know there's tons of opportunity for lots of different things, but focus and narrow on your one opportunity, because knocking one pitch out of the park is really all it takes to be successful, right? I mean, PJ Willihan's guys probably could have made lots of different great types of foods and offered them up to us, but they chose chicken wings and they killed it. And now it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter that, you know, they could make 50 other things. So I think the point is, and I have to follow my own advice on that too, because sometimes I get scattered off of lots of different opportunities that I think are amazing, when in reality, what I need to do is just get right back to doing what it is I've done for 15 years, you know, and that's a challenge.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. And, you know, from that, you are going to be responsible for building your teams, right, within your company programs. And, you know, oftentimes as leaders and managers, we think about what people are lacking in as opposed to what they're really good at. And, you know, I think what part of what you all should think about is you can spend your time trying to remediate maybe those things that someone isn't as good at, or you can really build that team, that strength about what people are good at. And what you've seen from Jonathan tonight is probably a little bit of what he likes to do as well. So we've got time for two more quick questions. So Jeffy, I see you have raised your hand.
Yep. Can you see me?
We can. Thank you, Jeffy.
Sweet. So thanks for signing up to speak with us tonight. And so I was wondering about when you were getting into your family's insurance business, you seemed really eager to go out there and network. And so what do you think were the most important things you learned about networking while you were doing that?
Oh, man, that's a great question. First off, you're welcome. Thank you for having me here. It's my pleasure to talk to you guys. And Paul, if you want to answer all the questions that are in the box, I've got nothing to do but this tonight. So I'm not in a rush unless you need to cut this off for your reason. But Jeffy, you know, when I first started networking, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And one thing that I think was very critical that I would share with anybody is little things that are details that you might overlook. I think when people start networking, they're already thinking about their business and selling somebody something, or a project that they want to talk about, or a new product or a new service. And that's all great. And you will get to those things as you make these relationships. But let's start at the basics, right? Dress nicely. You know, don't be afraid to overdress, you know, and, you know, you go to a networking event, an in-person event, that no one was ever overdressed for a networking event. And that's a great way to make an impression in a networking environment without having said a word, is look your best. And the second thing is another real simple thing is be a good listener. You know, when you go to a networking event, typically the type of people that enjoy networking and that go to networking events over and over again, they're talkers. Like me, I never shut up. So I'm a great networker. But one thing that I'm not great at, and I have to really practice, is I have to listen. And you'll find that at networking events, if you could be a good listener, you're going to make a lot of great contacts, and a lot of people are really going to enjoy your company and learning about you because you took the time to listen and learn about them. And, you know, my mom used to say, to have a friend, you first have to be a friend. And if you think about that in networking, it makes a lot of sense, right? You can't just walk in the room and just start telling everybody how great Jeffy is and we're all supposed to stop and listen. You got to come in soft and listen to what other people say. And then once they've said their piece, then you say yours. And I think that's something that a lot of people know to do, but it's not easy to do it. You know what I mean? It's not always easy to implement that. Even though you know it, it's not always easy. And the third thing I would say for networking is always have a business card. Always. I don't care if you don't even have a business. Always have a business card, because if you've gone to the trouble to make a new contact or make a new friend or tell somebody your story, you should have a really nice way for them to contact you and for them to remember you. And I know young people all have their phone and you can, like, you know, touch the phone and they talk to each other and you're all linked up. I don't even know how that stuff works. Paul definitely doesn't either. But have a business card and be able to hand that to somebody. I think that goes a long way.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffy. Jonathan, you were doing great there until you had to pull out the old guy comments. You know, Jeffy, the other thing I'll add to that is think about, you know, and I can't remember the statistic, but the majority of jobs that are filled oftentimes are not filled because the job was posted. They're filled because someone knew somebody. And, you know, and I call you, Jeffy, on the phone and I say, I remember meeting you, or I saw you at that presentation and I've got this job you may be interested in. And again, that comes back to a lot of the business to business stuff that we do at the chamber, you know, in that, you know, you need an accountant, you know, well, where am I going to go first? I'm going to go to people that I know first. So that's why networking can be so important. So thank you for that question. And then I see our last question on the board here is from Gretchen. So go ahead, Gretchen.
My name's actually Max. I'm on my mom's.
Oh, sorry, Max.
No, it's okay.
Hey, Max, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I just have a quick question, just out of curiosity. But how were you affected with COVID and everything? Like being in the insurance business, and I know how you talked about like you're more of like that old-fashioned type relationship with people. So I'm just curious, like how did that all work with COVID?
That's a great question. And there's a couple different layers to my answer. The first quick answer, Max, is we have not been affected that much. And luckily, we've been able to keep on rolling along because everybody still needs insurance, whether you leave your house or you don't leave your house, whether you go to work or you don't go to work. You still need insurance, and we're still a service that is required, regardless of a lot of the changes that we've had in our life and in our world since COVID has come around. Are you still there? Do we still have you?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the first part of that. The second part about it is, you know, as the relationship based business that we are, you know, part of that is we are old fashioned, and you're not going to get too much of us, you know, online and remotely and all this and all that. So the challenge for, you know, perhaps new customers has been a real thing. But I will tell you, having been here for 43 years, and having 43 years worth of strong, solid relationships and connections with our customers, now more than ever do we see the value of that. And I'm not here to tell you that other people are doing it the wrong way, and I'm not here to tell you that my way is perfect. But let me tell you that when times get tough, the relationships that are formed on a really strong bond over the course of many years, to me, those are the ones that weather the storm. And maybe the ones that aren't as strong and the ones that weren't built on such a strong foundation, those are the ones that don't make it. So, and we're fortunate to have a lot of wonderful relationships with our partners and our vendors and our clients. So we feel thankful for that, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. That's so cool. And I like how you kind of tied it back to that whole power of relationships thing. Like, I guess that can really show, I guess, in what you were talking about. So thank you.
For sure.
Thanks for the question. So we are going to go ahead and wrap this up tonight. I want to thank everyone, both our students and our volunteers, for participating. Spread the word. We will be doing these most non-holiday week Mondays. So we will reconvene 2 weeks from tonight. A couple of folks we have in the queue is we're going to have a vice president from the Alliance for Effective Decision Making to talk about some of the decisions that you'll have to make, particularly as you begin some of your product selection. We will also at some point have the senior vice president for brand for Junior Achievement USA, who will talk about how to get your message out there and some of the marketing around building your brand that you're going to do in the community. And then we will line up some additional guests as we move forward into the new year. So Jonathan, again, thank you so much for participating and great answers. And hopefully your LinkedIn requests will all fill up tonight. And again, thank you everyone and have a great evening. And we look forward to talking to you soon. Good night all.
Thank you.